Okay, having a look at question 7. This is another sketching graphs, true graphs question. So we've got our information to the side here that we want it between negative pi and 2 pi. So I've gone ahead and put that on my page already. Now, when I'm looking at this equation here, I can see that I have an amplitude of 2. I can see that my period is going to be 2 pi on 2, so that's just pi. And I've got a vertical shift of 1. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in a line here to show where my vertical shift of that, just to make things easy from the start. So I know I've got to go, I'm going to start at 1, and because I'm going up 2 and down 2, I'm going to draw those lines in as well. So they're kind of my guidelines where I'm going to be drawing my graph. And I'll start with just one cycle on there. So it's a sine curve, it's not negative, so I know it's just going to follow my normal sine curve pattern of starting at the center. So in this case, it's at 1. And I've got pi here, so I need to put my increments along the bottom. So I've got pi on 2, half of that, and then half of that pi on 4, and then 3 pi on 4. So I've now got that on my line. I know I can start here. I'm going up to the peak, back to the middle, down to the trough, back to the middle. So I've got that shape there now. And all I have to do is keep going with it because I'm going back to negative pi and forward to 2 pi. So if I go back to negative pi, I know that my next point, if I'm here at the middle, is going to be down at the trough, coming back to the middle there, and up to the peak, up here, and back to the middle. So I can then draw that one in there. And then I can keep going over here as well. And I've got my 2 pi there. So I can bring it up to the top, middle, back, and there. So you can see once you've got your guidelines in, it makes it much easier to draw that graph. Obviously you could go, depending if you were asked to find any intercepts, find where it's going to cross the y-axis, find where it's crossing the x-axis, etc. You can be asked to do that. Now the last one brings together a lot of different things in this one graph. So we've got our amplitude is 1. We've got a vertical shift of 2. And we've also got a phase shift. So like on my other phase shift one, I'm going to draw it without the phase shift and then do the phase shift. So I always like to do it that way. So I'm going to put my guideline in first like I did in that previous question. So I've got my 2. Then I know that it is going down 1 and up 1 from there. So I'm putting those ones in. I know I've got a period of 2 pi, so I'm going to do my full cycle in 2 pi. So then I've got my pi on 2 here and my 3 pi on 2 there. I also am going to flip the function. So it's a cos, which would normally start at the peak. So I'm going to start down at the trough of it. So I'm starting down here, I'm bringing it back up, coming up to the peak in the middle there, back to the center and down. For my picture there, so a little bit harder to draw the curve when it's so stretched out. And then I've got to go and do my phase shift. So my phase shift is pi on 3 backwards. So here's my pi on 2. If I look at my pi, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 little lines. So if I have a third of that, that's going to be 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is what I'm going to be moving each of those points. So I'm going to be moving them back 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I really should have done my original one in pencil. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to draw that in there. And then I just have to keep it going. So I know where the general shape is going to be for the rest of it. So I'm just kind of bringing that along. A good way would be to go a little bit further, just so you can bring those points back like I was doing with the other ones. And I could solve for some intercepts if I wanted to. I might just go back over that with a highlighter so I can show which one is my final answer. Is the pink one there. So always be careful to show that in the exam what one you are wanting to be marked as your final answer.